My dear friends, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. You've got a very subdued and happy hippie here. I have something to quietly celebrate with you all. Yes, I'm talking about Elon Musk bought Twitter. Gotten through the silly stuff. Yes, my friends, I am celebrating. I have said for a very long time that the pendulum of change always goes too far and always returns in a slightly different place from where it left. But we, for the last many years, not just because of the pandemic, but thanks to it, have been living in a world where the pendulum had just gone too far. We are seeing the changes over the past while, the biggest one being Elon Musk buying Twitter. And I am happy. Friends, I'm winging this, but you saw my intro. It's the freedom intro. It is a time to celebrate as far as I'm concerned, and some of you may have a different opinion, and I hope you will stick around and watch this, because I think I might change your mind if you don't agree with this takeover of Twitter. And even if you don't, open your mind. Listen, think about it, share with me, comment below, be respectful, but you don't have to be, and that's the idea of free speech. But first, let's talk about Elon Musk, because when I put this out yesterday, in Instagram saying, yay, I'm so happy about this, right away, one of the stoners that follow me, and follow me rather regularly, but is not of the same opinion for sure, immediately said to me, you really trust a billionaire to take over a social media company? And I just replied to him, I do. And if you don't, isn't that nice that you can say that so? And nobody tells you you can't say it? They might disagree with you. But that's the nice thing about free speech. So I didn't get into a big argument because I don't think it's necessary in this world. I think we need to change things a little bit, that we don't always have to support our opinion. It's our opinion. If I hold an opinion differently than you, if you want to have a good discussion with me and us find maybe a place of agreement or agreeing to disagree, I'm willing to get into that. But none of us should feel that we need to justify any or all of our opinions. The only time you justify an opinion is not because somebody's demanding it. That's when you just say, I've lost you. If they're demanding it. The only time you defend an opinion or explain an opinion or enter into a discussion on an opinion is when somebody respectfully asks you to explain. Whether a friend or foe, it doesn't matter. It's the idea, the only thing to battle bad and rude speech is more and better speech. Not cutting off that speech, because that speech doesn't go away. You create divisions, you create fractions and factions, and you create the turmoil that we seem to find ourselves in and trying very hard to struggle out of. So let's take this piece by piece. I'm just going to, as I've got a few notes in front of me, but they are not organized. And the first thing I did was talk about Elon Musk. Who is he? He is a libertarian. Yes, he leans to the right, but he is more Most libertarians are more liberal than they are conservative. It's just they're in for freedom, for letting the world decide, for the checks and balances are out there. Let the world decide. He's a free speech absolutionist. And that means, yes, unless the speech breaks the law, you are not allowed to, for instance, you're not allowed to call to violence. You're not allowed to yell fire in a crowded theater if there is no fire, because your speech will lead to violence and pain and suffering. So, yes, that's a little bit of an iffy line, but it's pretty easy to draw. But words aren't violence. Violence is violence. Words are words. And words can hurt. Words can hurt. And we need to be careful. We need to give people the opportunity to stay away from the stuff that will drive them mad. That's what absolutionist is unless it breaks a law, you can say anything you want. You may face consequences for what you say, but the consequences will be the rebuttal from everyone else, or the shaming, and everyone just blocks you for saying something stupid. That's the way it used to be. That's the way it needs to be. I believe it's a free speech victory. I believe that we needed this too much, especially in Canada. We actually have statements you're not allowed to say by law in Canada. So free speech, I care about very much. And the left media has lost their mind on this, and why? I think that's something that we need to do a deep dive on and discuss below in comments, and discuss between us, and maybe even discuss on a few of my live shows. Because why has the left, and when I say the left, I'm talking about mainstream, powerful media, anything except Fox, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, all those facilities that say they support the liberal mind are freaking out that Elon wants free speech. And so I would ask, what are they afraid of? Have they just had too much of a quiet period where their bad ideas did not get challenged because any challengers were canceled? This is the beginning of the ending of cancel culture. And I think it's important to have a place that we can all talk. Friends, I've never had a Twitter account. Even with Elon buying it, I may not buy it. I don't buy it. I may not go into it. It's not my thing. I used to love that kind of discourse, that kind of learning back and forth between people I don't know that might have information I have yet to uncover. I see its brilliance. I see where it can become something absolutely beautiful. But let's talk about what it became. Let's talk about the silly stuff that it has done, that at least this takeover will end. Look what happened to my second favorite president, Donald Trump. Yes, Ronald Reagan was my favorite, and I'm allowed an opinion, Canadian or not. Trump was kicked off of Twitter for words that he said in a speech. They called it inciting violence, and although something violent followed his speech, he did not incite it. In fact, a year later, most things proved that it was kind of just natural. It shouldn't have happened. But anyways, Trump was kicked off. The Ayatollah Khomeini still has a Twitter account. Most, if not all, the leaders of Hezbollah and ISIS and all them use Twitter. Putin on Twitter, but Trump not. It was being used, whether you like it or not. Some people really love that Trump no longer was there. But it was being used as a tool to silence one side of the political debate. And that's not good. Whether you dislike or hate conservatives, conservative thinking is the answer to liberal thinking that has gone too far. Conservative thinking pulls it back, makes us meet somewhere in the center. This is, I believe that this will go down the road as a catalyst, as the beginning of a new era of getting along, of learning once again how to debate, how to handle somebody who has an opinion other than yours. I don't think our kids have been taught that. I don't think the Gen Z or the millennials have truly been taught the power of debate and how it should not be an emotional thing. It should be a learning experience. It should be a field trip in the mind of going down a path you have not gone down, learning what you need to learn, discarding what doesn't fit, and coming out the other end a rather new person, a rather new thinker. What changes are they afraid of? All Elon has said is he wants to open up the algorithm, make it open source, make it visible, so you know whether you can say XYZ. He wants you to know it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. Open source, it's open to whomever clicks into the algorithm. So it wouldn't matter if you said XYZ on the left or XYZ on the right. If it's allowed, it'll be said. If it's considered poor speech, it should still be said. But he's talking about a system that I've spoke about many times as something that pops up and says, whoa, hold it. Either this is simply not allowed, you're calling to violence, and does not let you continue, or before you post, during the post process, or it comes up and says the following phrase or the following words are problematic and could cause you issues. So please either edit and resubmit or confirm you want it to be that way. Give people the choice. Let them know if they're going to hit an algorithm that could slow down their posts. I'm not against certain posts getting promoted because it's wonderful for the public good, and certain posts being demoted, they don't get shared a lot. They don't make it to, because they're of a I don't like the word violent, of a rude or possibly inciting nature. And you should be well aware, he said, you should be well aware what is promoted and or what is demoted so that you can adjust your own ways and means. He wants an edit button. It's never had an edit button. Everyone else does. You make a mistake, you want to go back and fix it, people should know that it's not the original post, but it's been changed. Maybe a reason for why you changed it and what you changed. But people wanted that. And he said, it used to be you had to be somebody very special to get the blue check mark as a verified user. He says all users should be able to be verified. You should be able to know that you're speaking to the real Gord Birch. And to verify myself, I should have to show some ID and that kind of thing. Whether it should be paid for or not, that's up to the platform that is requesting it. So the pros of Elon taking over Twitter. One more thing. Think about this very carefully. A year and a half ago, before the election, very, very salacious material was submitted by one of America's biggest and oldest newspapers, the New York Post, about the president's son and a laptop. I'm not going to go deep into it because that's not my place. But over 20% of Americans said that if they had known about that laptop before, the laptop and the information contained therein before the election, they would have changed the way they voted. And what happened? Maybe some of you don't know, but the New York Post got canceled on Twitter. Twitter would not allow that to go out there and canceled anybody else who put it out there, and only let the New York Post, one of the oldest newspapers, post any more if they deleted that. And they suppressed that story for a year and a half because it didn't meet the narrative and would have hurt the Democratic Party. That's what this is meant to solve. Those things should not be suppressed politically. People need information. If you would have still voted the way you voted, regardless of that, maybe your neighbor would not have. And so the pros and cons, we're back to that. The pros and cons, the pros are really positive. The pros are out there. Getting a place that anyone can go and post information, and anybody can say yay or nay to the information you posted, and the only thing that they're driven by is the free speech rules and the law. Either you're saying something salacious and, oh well, you might get demoted, but you'll get to say it, or you're saying something rude, or you're saying something mean. You may not get promoted, but you won't get canceled. You won't have your post taken off because it meets the free speech guidelines, or you're putting something up that's violent and it just wouldn't be allowed, regardless who it's against. It shouldn't be the who, it should be the what. So there's the pros, is we enter into a world where we can get back into proper discourse. Will it be difficult? Yes, but that is the human nature. That is our thing. We can get through that. What are the cons? A billionaire owning it? Really? That one guy, Ganja World, that told me that? Really? You trust a billionaire? Billionaires own all these social media sites. He's the only billionaire I might trust because he seems driven by something other than the coin. He seems driven, whether you agree with him or not, on improving society overall. He seems driven by the fact that one day he will be heralded as some of the great thinkers of the past have been. So, is that a con? No. And really, a con is the bad language in the tweets. I've heard that a lot. Oh, it's going to be horrible in there. People will start talking about all these violent things. And no. All that's going to happen is both sides of the aisle, the conservative and the democratic, the conservative and the liberal thoughts will get to intermingle. And what happens? Yes, it causes friction, but we as a society, most people, the majority, do not like friction. So what do? We try to oil that friction. We compromise, they compromise. We find a place in the center. We start to get along a little bit better. We start to realize that love and peace and harmony is more important than being right or shutting down those you think are wrong. So friends, I'm happy. And I never thought I'd be making this video. And if you've stayed to the end, good on you, because my goodness, this is a long video. I sure went off the edge in celebrating this. But my friends, what a crappy thing. It doesn't work, but I'm happy as hell. Whee! Peace and cheers, friends. Love and harmony.